so it's now time to begin an insightful fireside chat. I will be sharing the topic for the moment right now. It's called Brands, Bigg Boss and Bonanza. May I please welcome Pavithra KR, Head Revenue, Colors, Viacom 18, to please join me on stage for this. All right, so as we just heard right now that we have this very interesting topic, and when we talk about content on TV, reality show, I think there's nothing really greater than Bigg Boss for I think the longest time. You just go out there and it's almost being played in every household. You just know it. That's the kind of demand that it has. So what, according to you, makes it such a hot property for advertisers out there who just want to ensure that, Bigg Boss is at their grasp?
Hi, first of all, good morning. I'm so glad to have all of you here. Bigg Boss is actually very close to my heart. It's a show I've been selling for the last 11 years. But Bigg Boss as a format in the country has been in existence for 16 years and going strong. The very fact that it's been in the country for 16 years is testament to the fact that, firstly, voyeurism exists in India, and it's a real truth. People love to watch celebrities, people love to watch and see what people are doing inside their homes. So it's an extremely unique format, so to speak, right? Unlike the regular singing and dancing formats, Bigg Boss is a format which is so unique, there are many imitators that have come and gone, but this is a show that has sort of stayed strong and true to its ethos. So the show has been in existence for 16 years, and why is it an advertiser's delight? I guess I could answer this in sort of a twofold way. To begin with, of course, is the show. The show per se has performed extremely well. Right now, as we speak, we're on our, I think, 67th day of Bigg Boss. It's a show that spreads across 3 months. It's 107 days of the show. But as we speak, it is the #1 impact GC show in the country. It caters to the core youth audience. It does extremely well where the youth are concerned. We're 30% above our nearest competitor. And, what we've noticed over the last year is impact shows are seeing a little bit of a lack of response where audience is concerned. But with Bigg Boss, it does not hold true. It's going as strong as ever. So the format, because of its uniqueness, because of the way it interacts with the television audience, the way it sort of enters your home and makes it a talking point in everyone's lives. It's a water cooler discussion, right? Many a times you go to office and then when you're having a chai, you're like talking to your colleagues about, "Arey, usne kya kiya tha kal?" That's the kind of involvement that the show sort of has. And there's no show like that. You would see a singing and dancing show, you might talk about a winner, you might talk about a thing or two. But Bigg Boss, what happens is it makes celebrities, you start engaging with that celebrity and you start following that celebrity. And then it becomes personal. You will see that, on Twitter, the kind of conversations, in a single day, we have 20 million conversations on social media. That's the kind of pull that it has. And it has, it is a show that has 95%, and I kid you not, 95% share of voice when it is on air. So that's the kind of pull that the format and the show has. And that's why it is an advertiser's delight. And with advertising, I think, it's about how we sort of make the brand a part of the entire storytelling of Bigg Boss, right? It becomes an intrinsic part of the show. The brand persona is sort of embedded in the show. It is organic. It is beautifully sort of stitched in. It's not in your face. It's not like, "Arey, yahan pe koi hamper de diya, udhar pe kuch kar diya." We take a brand, we look at what it really needs, because brands come in different life stages. We take a brand, figure out what it needs, and then build it into the story of the show. And I think that is unique. And I don't think there is any show in the country today that is spread across 107 days in prime time, that enters your home every day, which gives you a reach like the way Bigg Boss does, and is able to tell your story without being intrusive to the audience. I think that is what really sort of makes it an extremely unique proposition and makes it a show that people really lap up.
You know, you just mentioned this thing right now that, you know, Bigg Boss as a show is something that also makes celebrities. Of course it does. And at the same time, it also remakes celebrities, people who were forgotten faces. This is one of the best platforms to go out there and, you know, prove your mettle once again and then find that recognition which perhaps they have been missing for quite a long time. I don't think any show out there does this. What do you have to say on this?
Yeah, of course, because I mean, we see that it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Like we have celebrities that go into the show with 1 million following and actually come out with a 10 million following, and automatically their prices go up. So, you know, that's the flip side of it. But yes, we make celebrities, and we got to sort of give a lease of life to celebrities. And but the show, I mean, it also depends on the celebrity, right, and how they perform within the show. To give you a case in point right now is we have a contestant called Abdul Rozek, who came and walked into the house. You won't believe it, he's among the number 10 top searched names in the country today. Abdul Rozek, that nobody knew anything about. In 60 days, he's become the most searched person in India today. That is the power of the brand, and that is what Bigg Boss sort of brings to you, right? I think he started with the following of about 1 million, and he's already at 4.8. So, I mean, Bigg Boss really makes celebrities and then sort of gives them a lease of life, and hopefully they do much good to colors in return.
Of course they will, that's definitely the intent from their end. If I have to ask you about this year's brand associations, what would you like to add to that?
We've had very interesting brands this year. Before I get into what brands do on Bigg Boss, what I would like to say is at Bigg Boss, within the show, because you know the brands become an intrinsic part of the show and it's a unique format, we're able to solve and give solutions for, of course, you know, products, life stages. So if you want to build brand awareness, if you want to relaunch a particular brand, you want to talk about a certain USP, there are multiple solves that one can sort of get from Bigg Boss. But more importantly, the kind of brands that come on Bigg Boss. And it's unique, and it's, I mean, I don't think there's any show that lends itself so beautifully to the type and kind of brand. Of course, we have FMCG brands. So we have L'Oreal that has been associated with us for 16 years. I kid you not. Every single year, Garnier Men has been our advertiser. We've had Tresemme with us for 3 years. We've had Appy Fizz with us for 3 years. We've had Vodafone with us for 5 years. Each and every brand that comes on Bigg Boss does not leave the property for a minimum of about 3 to 5 years. So that's the kind of pull the brand has. But if you are able to solve for FMCGs, which is a simpler solve, right? Because you enter the house, you have a kitchen area where you can find food brands. You have a washroom area where you can find personal care brands. But we have solutions for clients which are in the B2B segment. For example, Bharat Pay. Bharat Pay was our advertiser a couple of years ago. We've had CP Plus, which is again, you know, an advertiser for about 4 or 5 years on Bigg Boss. Depending on the need and the life stage that the brand is in, we have solutions for everybody. We've had MPL, which has been a gaming app. We've had D2C brands. We've had Mama Earth. We've had Wow Life Sciences. We have Licious. So, you know, we have a solve for each and every brand. And this year we've done fantastic work because we've really sort of changed the grammar of the show. Because COVID has been a great learning for all of us. The audience are lapping up content in a very different way. People don't have time. People want immediate gratification. They want to move faster. You know. So if you see the grammar of Bigg Boss today is so different from what we sort of aired last year, which has also resulted in the fact that the show has performed. I mean, our weekdays are doing, I think, about 50. There's a growth of 50% in the viewership of Bigg Boss over last year, and 35% overall. So the very fact that we've changed the grammar of the show, made it more inclusive with the audience, is represented there. We've made the show a lot more snappier. We ensured that content, you know, if you don't come on a particular day on Bigg Boss, you actually feel you've missed out something. Earlier it was such that, you know, if you came on a Monday and you came, maybe visited the show on a Thursday, you know, you've not missed much. But we're sort of making people understand that, you know, if you don't come on a Tuesday, there might be some interesting part of Abdul Rozek, for example, that you missed out completely on. So that's really worked for us. And we've changed the role of Salman Khan. I mean, Salman Khan is a huge pull on Bigg Boss. Salman Khan has become very intrusive on the show. The Bigg Boss voice, which used to be like this God voice, has become so intrusive on the show. He's telling you what to do. He's telling you what is right and wrong. He has a point of view. You know, all of these elements has really sort of helped us do wonders on the show, and which is also has been a reason for, you know, the increase in its viewership. And for brands per se, I mean, the question was for what do we do for brands, right? Yeah.
Brand association.
Yeah, so the brands, like, you know, the interesting brands that we have this year is, for example, we have My Glam. What we did within the show is we've created a makeup zone, because My Glam is all about makeup. So My Glam is the makeup partner of Bigg Boss. Very interesting, because, you know, it's a D2C brand. How do we sort of include this brand within the show? So we've built a contest. It's a consumer contest where you sort of, you know, you have to download the app, you answer a few questions, you vote for your favorite celebrity, who's the glam celebrity of the season, and then you know, it's like a 360-degree approach. So while you have a makeup zone inside the house, you have your branding inside the house, you have some Salman mentions, you also have a consumer-facing contest that's linked back to television, back to online, social, we push it through stories. A lot of interesting stuff that we've done for My Glam. We've also had brands like Tresemme and Garnier Men that have come back. We have Ching's, which is, you know, your Szechuan chutney, that is back on the show, that finds place in the kitchen area. We do a cook-off with them. So a lot of interesting solutions for brands on Bigg Boss.
You know, when we talk about investors, when we talk about advertisers, it's only natural for them to expect something in return, right? So if I ask you that, you know, what's like the return factor that you have associated with a show like Bigg Boss, what would you like to add to that?
I guess that's a question you have to pose to the advertisers themselves. Unfortunately, we don't have any in the room. But from my perspective, I think we wouldn't have had repeat advertisers, right? So that itself goes to show that the show works, which is why people come back to us time and again. Like I said, Garnier Men, 15, 16 years. Each and every brand is a minimum of a 3 to or a 5 year association with the show. So it's definitely working. And I mean, the show is done 35% better from last year. So automatically, you know, you have your answer there. And yeah, I think there is return on investment, which is why brands come back to us and seek us. It's a show that literally sells itself. It actually seeks us. And, you know, we have a solution for everybody.
You know, just like Bigg Boss as a show is something that's synonymous to everybody and everybody's mind. You know, it is connected so well with everyone. There's one name as well along with the show, as you mentioned, that is Salman Khan. It's literally very tough to imagine Bigg Boss without Salman Khan. He's been there, the face of the show for the longest of time. What do you have to say about his brand power? Because it keeps growing every year. And, you know, with his growth, his fan following that keeps growing every year, you also see the show simultaneously growing. What do you have to say to that about your association with Salman sir over the years?
I mean, Salman is very intrinsic to the show. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if Salman is low, the show is low. If Salman is high, the show is high. If Salman shouts, the whole media is abuzz with, you know, conversations about what Salman Bhai is doing. He's an important element of the show, but I don't want to take away from the fact that the real heroes of the show are actually the housemates and the contestants. And it is also depicted in the way the show rates, right? You see your weekday and your weekends do equally well. So the contestants also, because they enter your lives and they reach out to the audience every single day, they become a part of your conversation, they become a part of your life. You follow a certain Abdul Razak, or you follow a certain Shaleen, or you follow, you know, any one of those contestants and see their journey on the show to the end. So I think in that sense, you know, each one of them are celebrities in themselves, along with Salman. Of course, Salman is the icing on the cake.
You know, if I have to talk about Bigg Boss, you know, when the show started, of course, we didn't have the element of social media at that point of time. So primarily it was what we saw on TV or what we heard on radio, etc. But now social media plays a big role. You know, when you talk about Abdul Razak, whenever I open Instagram, I always see stuff like, you know, memes, videos of that, you know, say, talk to my Nakhun, or, you know, you're very chalak, bro. I think everybody over here has heard this. So that also adds to the promotion factor as well simultaneously. How do you think social media has also kind of enhanced the way Bigg Boss is perceived by the audience?
I think audience attention span is decreasing. So, with the stories that we put out, the shorter stories that we put out, a lot of people also end up catching a lot of Bigg Boss on social media. So, I mean, I'm sure you must have heard of the famous meme, right? Sada Kutta Tommy, or it's Sada Kutta Kutta, Sada Kutta Tommy, Mera Kutta Tommy. So things like this have become, I mean, I can't tell you, it's taken the country by storm, if you would ask me. And it has definitely helped sort of promote the show and made it popular. There might be people who don't watch the show, but everybody knows Bigg Boss. Everybody knows what's happening on Bigg Boss. Everybody is catching some bits of Bigg Boss, either on Voot or on, one of our colors pages. So I think it's all pervasive and all pervading.
Of course, with every passing year, we expect the show to grow, and it has grown. But if I have to ask you that one highlight factor of season 16 that has really, really stood out, according to you, what would that be?
I think this year has really been, because we've changed the grammar of the show. There are certain interventions that we've done this year, which was learnings that we've taken on from internationally. So, internationally, the format has met and figured out what next. What should Bigg Boss 2.0 really look like? What should we bring to the audience that's different? And simple sort of interventions that we did, which was, sort of changed our tasks. We have these brand tasks that we do inside the house, which we've sort of changed to making it daily instead of weekly, making it, making content snappier, making content more relevant, making content shorter in its format. The intrusiveness of Salman Khan has worked wonders for us. The intrusiveness of the Bigg Boss house has worked wonders for us. So I think these 3-4 elements has really sort of changed the way Bigg Boss is being consumed today in the country.
When I talk about a show like Bigg Boss, it's not just in the country. Even outside, if you see, there's quite a bit of fan following that the show has, and it does manage to reach to the international audience as well. So what do you have to say on that? Because I think it has expanded over the years in a wonderful fashion.
Yes, it's definitely consumed Bigg Boss in the Hindi format is definitely consumed by the Indian diaspora across the country. It's doing well. I wouldn't have the numbers, honestly. But I would like to believe that it's doing extremely well, yes. Big Brother as a format is also doing extremely well internationally, but Big Brother as a format internationally is actually a format with regular people, which is the common man. We tried that in India for 3 years. It did extremely well, but I think the Indian audience wants something different every couple of years. So then we moved back into the celebrity format because I think that voyeurism really sort of works for us.
You mentioned this fact right now that Indian audience wants something different, maybe in say 2 years or 3 years. So that's also something where you need to adapt to changing times as well. Like right now we're talking about season 16. Say when we come to season 18 or 19, you don't really know what the audience will expect. So how do you ensure that you're also constantly adapting to the changes that's perhaps happening in the society, just to ensure that the popularity continues to grow?
So, I mean, we've been doing it, right? We've been doing it over the last 10 years, and we've kept changing the format. We started with celebrities, we moved into the common man for 3 years, we moved back into celebrities, and I think we'd keep changing. I wouldn't be able to tell you what the trend will be like in 2018 or, in 3 years down the line. But I think we're constantly researching, we're constantly looking at audience. We know how the audience sort of consume other formats as well. We know what's working, we know what may not work. So the programming team is always sort of considering these things before they sort of design the show and bring it to the audience.
When I talk about Bigg Boss, of course, Salman Khan is there, the show is there, colors is there, everything is there. But one factor that has remained constant over the years is the audience and the loyal support. What do you have to say in terms of the loyal support that you have received from, because the repeat value is really high, and you also gain new audience at the same time. But the people who have, say, watched season 1, they're still watching. The repeat value is extremely high. What do you have to talk about the audience? I
mean, that's the biggest pull of Bigg Boss, right? It has a loyal fan following. So you might be a closeted watcher, but you're still watching Bigg Boss. And that's the truth. When I go across and meet clients from across the country, he says, my son watches Bigg Boss, so do I, so does my mother. So it's interesting. And they watch it year on year. And I have friends, colleagues, clients, advertisers who know more about Bigg Boss than I do, though I've been selling it for 11 years. That's how an important and integral part of their life it becomes. And I start getting messages where people tell me, "Arey yaar, ab kya karenge? Bigg Boss khatam ho gaya. I don't know what to do with my 1.5 hours." Right? That's the kind of pull that the show has.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this chat. I hope and
Thank you
believe
so
that
much.
Bigg Boss continues to grow just like every other year. And I'm sure that this insightful chat has helped a lot of people understand Bigg Boss as a brand better. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have the token of appreciation over here on stage, please. May I please have the token of appreciation over here, please?